I'd like to thank the Cooper-Hewitt for inviting me to speak, and of course GE for making all this possible. I'm also going to get the world's simplest clicker. Did you see these? Two buttons, a green and a red? And you press it, and the person sees you press it, or they see a little light, and then they'll advance the slide. So it's kind of a combination of digital and physical. Okay, so why design now? I think you've all had a couple answers this morning. My answer is kind of, isn't it about time? Isn't it about time design start to play a broader role in solving problems on a local level and the global problems that you've talked about this morning? We certainly live in incredible times, and I think that's what defines this era. I often say that most eras are defined by rapid change, and it's all relative. Every era kind of talks about how fast things are changing. But I must say, I'm really experiencing the changes in technology, the global community, politics, technology, how kids are living their lives, the recognition that we have of the global community. These are incredible times we're living in, and it really ends up giving us an opportunity to change the world. And I think that's an incredible opportunity. And I often say what they say is with great power comes great responsibility. And I think right now design has great power. But it's something that we want to be cautious of. And I want to start with a little point of, is design just kind of, does it have broader awareness right now? Is it really celebrity? Is it a trend? Is it a boom that allows us to practice now and be asked by more clients to do work? Hey, why don't you try something? Is it the thing? Is design a bubble? And we've experienced a few bubbles in the last 10 years. An internet bubble, a financial bubble, and we know the outcomes of those aren't too productive, right? Of course, design doesn't have that level of awareness or impact on the world yet, but I think we do have that opportunity. And the title of my talk was called Designing Everyday Products, and I do want to talk about design not as a trend or a fad or celebrating that we have this wonderful awareness of the discipline, but really to talk about how do we take that awareness and turn it into design that actually affects everyday life, that actually not necessarily designs products for everyday life, but allows each and every one of us to participate in design on a daily basis, much like Richard Saul Wurman started out the conference with. So I have a keynote talk, which I'm not giving today, that talks a little bit about the structure of the modern organization, the division of silos, the fabled silos, and how it causes a kind of work today. And I have a simple acronym which captures how most of us work in this day and age and how most organizations work because of the silos. It's EEEMP. It's kind of a long acronym. It's easier to say. EEMP, right? Easier to say. What does it stand for? It stands for email, 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 meetings, and PowerPoint. That's kind of how we work, or that's how many of the organizations we work with work. And I think all we're talking about, or the answer to why design now, is it's because design has the opportunity to kind of change that dynamic to design activity. That's what design thinking is. Design thinking is actually design activity embraced by a broader group. So design thinking is a little bit of a misnomer, because I think what we have with EEMP, with email, meetings, and PowerPoint, we have too much thinking and not enough acting. And what design does, and what I'll talk about throughout the talk, are the types of things that design does that a broader number of professionals can now adopt to make great things happen in the world, to make change happen, to solve problems. Okay? So I really have 4 ideas about design this morning. 4 areas that I think have led traditionally to great design work within the individual practice that Chuck just talked about, but is happening in a broader way and allowing more people to collaborate to change the world. Okay, so the first idea is really design as facility. And this is the shift from design going from a control-based attitude. If you just give me the assignment and you really put me in charge, I'll design it and make something great. And we got to make sure that as it goes through engineering and production, the design vision isn't lost. So I'll need to control that, right? Well, think about it a different way. Think about design as facilitating, being a facility of change to happen for everyone. So design as, or designer as a facilitator. So facility is really a place or a service that gives the opportunity to do or benefit from something. And I think what design allows organizations to do is benefit from their own capability that EEMP, that EAMP, has kind of kept them from doing. So think of design as facility, as an ability to do something. And I'll show you a few things. So one way design activity is used is to engage clients with customers. And this is simply a picture of a room of clients at Gravity Tank working with mothers and children, actually in the same room together, learning a little bit about bathing kids. And it's a simple idea of bringing people together to understand, as again, Richard Saul Wurman talked about. But this is what's totally needed. Most of our market research is done through abstraction, through sending out surveys, and ethnography has come and helped us get closer to customers. But getting even closer, like sitting in the same room and asking them questions and having a conversation, can be tremendously visceral in the client's understanding of what the issues are for the mother bathing their child. So collaboration with the customer. But it's also collaboration within your own teams in the organization. So we get our clients to be much better at collaborating with each other, and a simple thing we teach from design in these groups is critique. We've lost the ability to critique in our organizations. If somebody shows a PowerPoint and somebody says, I'm not sure you thought about that, you're like, hey, but you don't understand what I'm doing. We start to defend it, and instead of embracing the critique. And so we help organizations work better together to throw ideas up on the wall and to share the feedback. We also design, designers are really hounds for new experiences, for new things, right? These design sites will show all these things that are going on in the world, and we thrive on that. Well, we try to help others, non-designers, thrive on that as well. So we put them through immersive experiences they've never had before. While everybody will have heard of the Wii, many people will have never tried the Wii, actually played a game. So here you see a group understanding a little bit more about interaction design, interface design, by experiencing the Wii within a 1-hour context of going through a series of exercises or playing and then reflecting on that. Why is that an interesting experience? What are we trying to do? Is it the same as this, or is it different? Does this provide a good metaphor for us or not? So creating experiences during the design process for the teams going through trying to make change happen. Helping people understand how to pitch ideas, how to create alternatives, get them up on a wall, and pitch those to each other. Another simple technique that we take for granted in design, but is not necessarily a technique that's well practiced in organizations. And then showing prototypes to each other. Okay. So that's the first one, design as facility. And I think that really underscores most of the other three principles, or it's what these other three principles allow to happen. Okay? So the second one is design as empath, of really understanding, of really looking at the world. And Todd Tillmans, who's a GM at Unilever, likes to say, to look at our business with fresh eyes, with new eyes. How do you actually do that? It's so easy to really parlay your expertise all the time. Well, I know our business. How do you start by saying, actually, I don't think I understand the business. I don't know what our customers are really doing. We're not rewarded for that. We're rewarded for knowing. And so in an organizational context, mostly you're rewarded for what you already know, not for what you can figure out differently or how you can be more naive about the world. And I think design tries to be very naive about anything it approaches in order to get to a new place. So I think this all started for me very early in my career when I saw George Nelson's How to See book. And it was a series of photographs. And Charles Eames carried a camera around his neck and took pictures of the most mundane things because he was trying to see them with new eyes. So there's pictures of manhole covers and streetscapes and just a light that has a particular quality to it. And to see those things anew, that ability is what we need when we go and work in a new area where we're trying to make something happen. We need to see it naively. So how can we understand people whose lives, especially in these global situations, are so different than our own? What are they doing? When you're trained to see things in a new way, you're looking at all sorts of things in this image. You see a knife that's actually been sharpened hundreds or thousands of times by the person using it. Why are they cutting this grapefruit with such a thin peel? It's leaving that rind. Well, that rind is turned into candy. Where is this person from? Why are they doing this, right? Understanding that deeply and asking questions. Of course, it's not just with consumers and their kind of traditional livelihoods. It's also these new things that are coming to be. Thank you. So understanding what impact the iPad is having on all sorts of populations. So this ability to see, did you get that click? There we go. Okay. This ability to see helps us communicate opportunity to others. And so about a year ago or so, we thought this apps phenomenon was pretty interesting at Gravity Tank, and so we did our own study to try to understand what it's about. I have a little partial video here for you to see how we kind of help communicate what we found.
I'll play like Sudoku or I'll play Uno in bed until I start to get tired.
You tilt your phone to get the beer down to the other end of the bar into the guy's hands.
You know, I fart. It's like, it's just such a stupid, you know, my nephew, and I'll hug them and I'll hit it. I'll be like, come on. And we'll do it like 10 times. They're like, again, again.
For me, like, it's all about what I want, right? My needs. My needs are not to like play games. My needs are not to be silly. I don't need iFart or iGirl or beer bong or ping pong or whatever. I don't need any of that in my life, right? I just need to like get to the information that I want to get to faster and better.
Something like this holds a lot of promise because it's a toolkit.
We started talking about what apps we have, and his wife said that she loved the Grocery IQ, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it because I really like how I have it in my notes and it's separated by the grocery store. And she was like, I know, but you can still do that and just check off the things when you're in that specific grocery store, and then you'll know what you'll need when you get to the other one. And I love it. I mean, seriously, like I told you on the phone, I use it every single day.
Yeah, I just bought a metronome, it was like yesterday, and it's pretty functional compared to other metronomes.
You know, I've got like 35,000 songs in my iTunes library at home. Well, this little 16 gig phone's not going to hold all that, but Simplify will let me connect to my home and stream them to the iPhone.
You can go back and see like how many days that you didn't eat sugar. I have none, just in case you're wondering.
This is a web album that is a bunch of Petri dishes with bugs growing on them that I had to send to someone.
I was talking to someone and I went like this just for fun, and like the keyboard showed up, which is great.
It tells you what star clusters are where in the sky, and you know, based on your GPS location.
At church, I do use the Bible on my phone.
Actually, I really like the flashlight.
I have instant access to all my accounts.
Typepad is like, for English, we have to do blogging like every week. And so this is the website that we do the blogging on, so I can blog from your phone.
Okay, like I need that.
How do my teachers understand? I keep telling them, we need to teach them the way they learn. They learn with these. So I would plan at some point in time, instead of buying them a book, I would rather spend $300 and give every one of them an iPhone.
Great. So we don't really have time to have a little conversation about what you guys saw in that, but it was profound for us when we did that, and to see the wide variety of things people were doing with apps, and we knew that it was somehow different, it was somehow changing the game. And we tried to bring that together into a short 3 or 4 minute piece that would allow lots of people to start understanding what role apps could play in their own strategies and moving forward. And this whole notion that I'd rather buy somebody a smartphone than a textbook is very telling, and he's a principal in the Chicago public schools. Okay, so the third point about design is shaper, and designers have always made prototypes as a part of their work. It's a natural process. 5 minutes, thank you. It's always been a natural part of their process. And the idea here is that making actually helps you understand. And often when we work with companies or people who are non-designers, so-called non-designers, they hesitate to make something because they feel they're committed to at that point. And so what we're trying to do is show how the design process or working in a collaborative way and making things actually helps you figure out what you eventually want to make, right? And I think you can really, in a collaborative sense, we really can benefit from this whole DIY and make it yourself movement that's happening. And so it's a lot easier to bring clients into a workshop and have them actually prototype, and it's exactly what we do. So people are creating amazing things nowadays just from projects that are published on the internet. We start with diagrams to help visualize where they're going to make prototypes in, and then we get people, again, this whole notion of interacting with models as a new form of knowing or as a new form of figuring things out. So you're very familiar with this. This is a workshop where we're going through a series of things, but we create a lot of little parts and pieces so that it's easy for people to pick things up, stick them together, and have a conversation about what they mean. And that, using a prototype in a conversation, changes it. It changes what you can actually talk about. And that's a powerful thing when you're trying to figure out something new. And the only reason I'm showing this is because that's the head of finance on the right side at the company and the chief technology officer on the left side. And they're creating one of the most impressive interface demos of this workshop. And we were blown away. Nobody knew that the finance guy would be doing this, right? And so this is the other thing, is it enables, this is the whole notion of design as facility to bring out the talent that's latent in an organization. Okay, and then finally I'm going to talk a little bit about design as tool maker. So with this grand kind of change in technology, it is now accessible. I had a picture in here of my son using Native Instruments Machine, which is a new beatbox. It has a software interface, a hardware interface. He's got his headphones on. He's 7 years old, and he's interacting with this thing that would have cost $200,000 a decade ago, right? And he's starting to learn music in a completely different way. We have web services, development frameworks, APIs, HTML5 and CSS3. If you haven't heard about it, you're going to be really excited. And you're going to start benefiting from it, right? But what it means is we can start building tools to change how practice is done. So I'm going to play this little animation, and what you're seeing is essentially an interactive knowledge database. One of our clients wanted to have all the work that we had done with them available to send out to a broader group, and we didn't feel that the traditional tools of SharePoint server or some of these knowledge management repositories that exist on corporate networks really allowed people to understand the work that was going on. So we created this tool that organizes all the content in a variety of different ways, and you can actually explore the content by selecting the project, seeing the materials from that project that are all the way from the initial research all the way to the final presentations. You can see it as a timeline from when the project started to the end. And when you click on one of them, it opens up the window to allow you access to that file. And so it's starting to change how our clients are able to collaborate after a project is over and retain that knowledge and share it. And they're able to start emulating that behavior in their own projects that they do. OK, let's move to the next one, just in the interest of time. And then finally, this is a tool we're building because you know design practice now actually goes out and does a lot of ethnography, and it's extremely resource intensive. And so we've built a tool that we're calling D-Scout that allows us to recruit people from anywhere in the world with a mobile device that has a camera on it. And we're able to design a study, and it allows them to take pictures, enter a little piece of text, and submit that back. And what it allows is the research team to gather qualitative data in a very efficient way from anywhere in the world about any particular topic. So think of this as a visual mashup between Flickr and SurveyMonkey, if you will, right? But it's going to allow access to research data in a much faster way. Now, these are tools we can build as we're a consulting firm. We get to build the tools for ourselves. And this is a phase change. This is a shift in how the practice is working. So one of the things we often say in design is you have to build things in order to build the real thing. So you build jigs and fixtures in order to build something else. We're starting to do that for the practice itself, building the tools that we use to change the practice and collaborate with our clients. Okay. Next one. So, in summary, 4 quick ideas about design. Think of design as facility, not control, as empathetic rather than tastemaker, as shaper and tool maker. Thank you.